In a small valley tucked between gentle hills and long fields of wheat, there lived a farmer named Elias and his teenage son, Noah. Their home was modest, wooden walls warmed by sunlight, a roof that creaked in heavy rain, and a small porch where they watched the sky change colors at dusk. They were not wealthy by any measure, but their days held a quiet kind of richness: honest work, clean air, shared meals, and the steady comfort of knowing they had each other. They owned a narrow stretch of farmland that had been in their family for generations. It wasn't much, but with patience and effort, it gave them enough to live. And more important than their tools, more valuable than their harvest, was a strong chestnut horse named Cedar. Cedar was not just an animal. He was the heartbeat of their farm. He pulled the plow through stubborn soil, carried sacks of grain to the market, and moved with a calm power that made hard work possible. Noah loved Cedar like a friend, and Elias cared for him with the respect of someone who understood what a single blessing could mean in a simple life. Then, one morning, before the sun had fully risen, disaster arrived without knocking. Noah stepped outside to feed Cedar and froze. The fence was splintered, the latch hung open, and the stable was empty. He ran along the fence line, calling Cedar's name into the mist, his voice growing sharper with every step. He searched the field, the dirt road, the edge of the hills, the edge of the... But there were no hoofprints fresh enough to follow, no movement in the distance, no sign of the horse that had carried their hopes on his back. When Noah returned, his face was pale, as if the morning had stolen the color from him. "Father," he said, breathless, "Cedar is gone." Elias stood very still. He looked toward the broken fence, then toward the hills beyond the village, where the fog hung low and quiet. Noah waited for a shout, a curse, a collapse into anger. He waited for panic because that is what panic demands. More panic. But his father only exhaled slowly, as though he were making room for reality instead of fighting it. Before Noah could speak again, neighbors began to arrive. News traveled fast in small places, and by mid-morning, people were standing in the yard, shaking their heads like they were attending a funeral. "Oh, Elias," one man said, clucking his tongue. "That horse was everything to you." "A terrible loss," a woman added. "Without Cedar, how will you work your land? This is truly awful luck." Noah's throat tightened. Their words felt like stones being stacked on his chest. He looked at his father, expecting him to defend their future, to argue with the fear rising around them. But Elias simply nodded, calm as a pond with no wind. "Maybe," he said. The neighbors blinked. "Maybe?" the man repeated, confused. "What do you mean, maybe?" Elias didn't argue. He didn't explain. He only repeated, gentle and steady. "Maybe." The neighbors left, murmuring to each other about how strange it was to see someone so calm in the face of a disaster. Noah, however, stayed behind with the weight of it. When they were alone, he turned to his father with frustration in his eyes. "Why are you acting like this doesn't matter?" Noah asked. "We needed Cedar." Elias placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "Of course it matters," he said, "but the story isn't finished yet." The days that followed were hard. Elias and Noah did the work Cedar used to do. They pulled the plow by hand. They carried heavy bundles on their backs. Their muscles ached, their palms blistered, and each night Noah fell asleep with worry still clinging to his thoughts like dust. Sometimes Noah caught himself imagining Cedar running free, wild and lost, and anger flared inside him. Other times fear took over, fear that they would lose the harvest, lose the farm, lose the small security they had worked so hard to build. A full week passed. Then, one morning, the valley woke to the sound of hooves. Noah, half awake, heard it first, rhythmic, powerful, approaching like thunder softened by distance. He rushed outside and his eyes widened. Cedar was coming down the dirt path, mane tossing, eyes bright, and beside him ran a wild black stallion, tall and strong, moving with fierce grace. Behind them, at a slower pace, trotted a young bay horse, nervous but healthy, as if it had followed the others out of curiosity. Noah could hardly breathe. It felt like the world had flipped upside down. "Father!" he shouted, laughing and nearly crying at the same time. "Cedar is back, and he brought others." Elias stepped outside and watched the horses approach. Cedar slowed near the fence as if returning home had always been the plan. The wild stallion snorted, wary but did not run. The young bay horse stayed close, trusting the movement of the group. Neighbors came rushing again, drawn by the commotion. When they saw the three horses, their faces transformed. "Incredible!" one shouted. "You lost one horse and gained two." "This is amazing luck," a woman said, hands clasped like she was witnessing a miracle. "Elias, you're blessed. Now you'll have more strength for your work than ever." Noah turned to his father with a triumphant look. Surely now his father would smile big, celebrate, let joy fill the air. Elias did smile, but softly, like someone who had never stopped believing life could surprise him. "Maybe," he said. The neighbors stared again, as if they were hearing the same strange word in a new language. "Maybe?" someone scoffed. "This is clearly good fortune." Elias didn't resist. He didn't try to teach them with a lecture. He only said maybe, and began preparing food and water for the horses. Noah, however, couldn't stop thinking about that wild stallion. A horse like that could change their life. If he could tame it, train it, turn it into a working partner, their future would feel less fragile. So Noah made it his mission. Each morning he approached the stallion carefully. He spoke in a calm voice. He offered food from his palm. He learned the animal's moods, its boundaries, its fear. Slowly the stallion allowed him to come closer. Slowly it stopped flinching at his touch. Noah's confidence grew, and with confidence came impatience, the belief that progress must always be rushed into success. One afternoon, when the sun was high and the air shimmered over the fields, Noah decided it was time to ride the stallion. He tightened a simple rope harness and swung himself onto the horse's back. For a moment it worked. For a moment, Noah felt unstoppable. Then, the stallion reared. The world tilted. Noah's hands slipped. The next sound was sharp, bone against earth, pain exploding through his body like lightning. He screamed. Elias ran from the field and found Noah on the ground, face twisted, leg bent at an unnatural angle. The stallion had bolted, disappearing into the distance, leaving dust behind like a cruel laugh. Neighbors arrived once more, drawn by the cry of injury, and when they saw Noah's broken leg, they shook their heads with sorrow. "Oh no," a man said, "your son is hurt badly." "This is terrible," another added. "Now he can't help on the farm, and you'll struggle even more. Such awful luck after such good fortune." Noah clenched his jaw, tears leaking from the corners of his eyes. He felt rage and shame and fear all tangled together. He wanted his father to be angry now, angry at the stallion, angry at fate, angry at whatever invisible hand had decided to hurt him. But Elias knelt beside his son, steady as ever, and carefully adjusted the cloth under his head. His face showed concern, yes, and tenderness, yes, but not panic. When the neighbors finished speaking, Elias looked up and said, "Maybe." Some of them threw their hands up in disbelief. "How can you say maybe?" one woman demanded. "Your son is suffering." Elias didn't deny Noah's pain. He didn't smile away the injury. He simply replied, "I do not know what this will become." Noah was carried inside. Days turned into weeks. His leg was splintered and bound. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the farm sounds outside. Work continuing without him, life moving on. He felt useless. He felt like a burden. And he felt bitter that the stallion, the supposed gift, had become a source of pain. Yet Elias never spoke of it with bitterness. He fed Noah, helped him sit up, changed the bandages, and tended the farm with the same quiet patience he always had. Sometimes in the evening, when the wind cooled the valley and the sky softened into gold, Elias sat by Noah's bed and told him stories from his own youth. Stories not of perfect victories, but of strange turns and unexpected lessons. Then one day, the sound of hooves returned. but not the kind that brought hope. Soldiers rode into the village. The kingdom was in unrest and war had broken out beyond the hills. The army had come to draft every able-bodied young man. The village filled with panic. Mothers cried, fathers argued. Sons stood stiffly, trying to look brave while fear shook their insides. Noah heard the news from his bed and felt his stomach drop. He pictured his friends marching away into danger. He pictured the battlefield, the cold nights, the uncertainty of coming home. When the soldiers reached Elias's house, they stepped inside and saw Noah's leg. "This one cannot fight," the captain said, waving his hand as if dismissing a small problem. "He stays." The soldiers left. Noah lay in stunned silence. His broken leg, the thing he had cursed, had just become the reason he would not be sent to war. Outside, the village was shattered with grief. Families watched their sons disappear down the road. The air felt heavy with the weight of what might never return. When the neighbors realized Noah had been spared, they came to Elias's home once again, this time with a different expression, not pity, not excitement, awe. "Elias," one man said quietly, voice trembling, "your son is safe. Because of that injury, he's staying here, while ours are going to war." Another neighbor swallowed hard. "We thought it was bad luck, but now we see." Their eyes drifted to Noah's leg, then back to Elias as if they were finally understanding something they had been too impatient to learn. This really proves it," someone whispered. "Everything happens for a reason." Elias listened, his face gentle. And once again he said the same word he had said through loss, through gain, through pain, through relief. Maybe. This time no one argued, because at last they understood what maybe meant. It did not mean Elias didn't care. It did not mean he was blind to hardship. It meant he refused to pretend he could see the whole story from a single page. It meant he did not rush to name life's moments as blessings or curses when he had only just received them. Noah, lying in bed, felt something shift inside him. He had been so certain, so sure that losing Cedar was disastrous, that gaining horses was perfect luck, that breaking his leg was tragedy. Yet every event had opened into another, like doors in a hallway that no one could predict. For the first time, Noah truly heard the wisdom in his father's calm, not because life was always kind, but because life was always moving, and because the truth of a moment could change with time. Months passed, war still raged in distant lands, and the village waited with aching hearts for news. Elias and Noah continued the farm. Noah healed slowly, learning patience the hard way. When he could finally walk again, his steps were careful, humble, and grateful. Cedar remained loyal. The young bay horse grew stronger, and as for the wild stallions, he never returned. Yet strangely, Noah no longer spoke of him with anger. He spoke of him as a lesson, one that had taught him to respect what he could not control. The villagers began to change too. When something went wrong, they didn't panic as quickly. When something went right, they didn't celebrate as if it could never change. They started to hold life more gently, less like a trophy, more like a river. Something to move with, not fight. And in the valley, the simple word maybe became more than a habit. It became a way to breathe. Because sometimes the best response to life's twists isn't fear or pride or despair. Sometimes it's patience. Sometimes it's acceptance, and sometimes it's the quiet courage to admit, "I don't know yet, but I will keep going." So if you are in a season that feels like loss, don't rush to call it the end. If you are in a season that feels like victory, don't rush to believe the story is finished. Life has a way of revealing meaning in layers, one chapter at a time. And maybe, just maybe, the thing you're calling bad luck today is the very thing that will protect you tomorrow. If this story gave you something to think about, please like the video, share it with someone who might need a little encouragement, and subscribe for more motivational stories that strengthen the heart and calm the mind. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you peace, courage, and unexpected blessings on your journey.